Hello everyone, I'm Trey Bergh, and today I'll be breaking down a presentation I gave at work about 3 months ago. Specifically, I'll be breaking down the history and giving you some background of what the presentation was, who was there, and then also breaking down how I would rate myself in the presentation. Specifically, we'll discuss some of the things I think went well and some of the things that I think I could have improved on. Specifically, we'll finish with kind of one topic I think I could have improved on after reading this chapter and how this chapter will impact my future meetings. So the setting of the meeting was at our boardroom. The meeting consisted of the board members. It was a monthly board meeting that we have. The boardroom consisted of about 20 physicians and then about 3 administrators who were in the room. So for the presentation, that was who was all there. The goal of the presentation, or the purpose of the presentation, was for me to propose a new expansion of our urgent care into a shelf space of our building that was being prepared to be built out. So discussing my presentation a little bit, I started with a very clear purpose of hey, here's what I'm here to talk about today, and that is expanding our urgent care into the shelf space. I then transitioned into discussing the why and why that was needed, which included patient volumes, the financial impacts of our urgent care at the time, and how it was growing. I then gave them some of the data on patient complaints and patient wait time because we were outgrowing the space that we were currently in. So I really tried to give that in a really clear bulleted Excel type document. Our physicians are ones that don't like PowerPoint. They want it really just to be nuts and bolts, quick, let them to be able to evaluate it. So I was able to accommodate that. The presentation, I then, after discussing kind of the financial impacts, I also had a Q&A where I kind of discussed some of their questions and took their concerns. That's the background of the presentation. When I rate myself, I would rate myself as a 7. I think there was room for improvement. However, ultimately the approval did occur and people, they were supportive of our proposal. However, looking back at it, I think there'd maybe do a couple things I would do differently. So first off, I'll start with things that I think went well. I thought I laid out a really clear purpose. Our board president, from my first presentation years ago, had always said, you better start with the why before you start getting into data. So I think I did a good job of that. I think it transitioned well into, hey, here's the supporting data of why we need this to happen. And then I also, following that, went into the financial impacts of what that means. And in the question and answer section, I lived in the urgent care. That was my job for about 3 years, so I was able to fully understand kind of the clinical questions they had and the business side of it as well. So I think I did a good job in that section. However, that would be where the area of my weakness was, I believe. So transitioning here, I would like to focus on the one specific area that I would do differently if I was to do it again, and that is to be anticipating questions. And our book laid out a really good a page there just talking about all the things to anticipate and how you can better prepare yourself for that. I was prepared for the questions I thought would be basic. Hey, what is the increase in expense? What's the building going to cost? What are we going to project that we potentially can increase by doing this? What is our staff retention going to look like? I had those pretty well baked and I felt good talking about them. However, when they started asking questions such as what ifs, what if we added another person while we did this? What if we moved to a different location and added another location and not at the same building? And some of those things I was able to answer but didn't have any supporting documents or evidence. And looking back, I should have anticipated those questions a little better. And following that, also the physicians had questions regarding what does this do to the valuation of the holding company? What does it do to the building company? What does that change for rent for those that are shareholders or non-shareholders? There was just kind of another layer of questions that I didn't expect that we were able to walk through and get the answers. But moving forward, I would definitely do that differently after reading this chapter. So in conclusion, I think this chapter did a really good job of breaking down good presentations and what we can do to better ourselves in that setting. I hope you found some interest in my personal example. And like I said, I do think I did a pretty good job in following what our textbook recommended. However, after reading the chapter, I would definitely anticipate questions better and also take a few other key items as well. Thanks.